And it's going to take time to earn trust and build those leadership skills. We can't just say, okay, I'm ready for my blue chair and I'm going to go retire on the beach somewhere. Good luck.
You have to have a strategic plan. You can't just say, oh, let me give this share to this person and this share to this person and then hope that they can work together.
Hey, everybody. Bobby Fernandez here, client consultant at Agency Performance Partners. And I am here today with the wonderful, amazing Miss Therese Potter. Hi, Therese.
Chaos coordinator, APP's operations and training coordinator. Hi, Bobby. How are you today?
I am doing good. I know we're both kind of suffering through a little bit of this June gloom, a springtime ickiness. So hopefully we can both make it through, but we are so excited to be here with you guys today. And we're just going to, kind of talk today about leaving an insurance agency to your family and having a really strong plan for succession in that. I think a lot of agents have taken a long time to build their book of business, whether they went out and bought a book and then, built from that point, or whether they build it brick by brick by brick, policy by policy by policy. It really is something to be super proud of, and I think a lot of agency owners don't get enough credit for the drive and the ability that it took to be able to do something like that. It really is a very special group of people, and they should be proud of what they've built.
It takes a lot of hard work and dedication. But I also think that those same owners and the guys, the men and women that build that, they also build it with their children in mind. And I think they forget the grit that they put into it, and they raise their children differently because they have been so successful. So it's hard because they look at it very differently than the children do. So that's,
Agreed.
Yeah. So
I agree. I think a lot of times, agency owners, they may have a plan in their head and they may think everybody understands or knows what that plan is, even their family. But a lot of times they don't. Many times we go into agencies that are in this position where, now they're ready to retire and now they're thinking about succession planning.
Yeah, I think people on the outside looking in see some of that hard work and that dedication that owner, that agency owner put into it, and they worked so hard for. And then you look at the children and you go, are they going to work as hard? And because that agency owner was so dedicated and so driven and built this empire, that the way they raised their kids is a little different because the kids were raised up in the empire. So they didn't see the struggle. So from the outside, we see how hard it was and what dedication had to go into these huge, giant agencies that they worked so hard for. There's a different vision of it when you grow up in it compared to when you work on the outside of it and you watch it grow.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to get to a place where I think that succession planning has to start happening earlier. I find a lot of times that, agency principal waits until they're ready, until now I'm ready and now I need a plan. But this is something that takes time. It takes planning. This takes years
and years to build. And you can't just, okay, it took me, 30, 40, 50 years to build this. And then in one day here, let me just, no, right. You've got to really, really take the time and think through it. Find the best solution. And unfortunately, nowadays, we're seeing a lot of agents selling to private equities because it just seems like a better option than a succession plan to the family. I also think that the people who the agencies are going to, they don't realize what a big opportunity they have to be in the part of this succession plan. So it can go so many different ways, and it's definitely something that needs to be thought through. And you've taken 40, 50 years, even more to build it. You've got to take a lot of time to decide what's going to happen to it.
Yeah. And it's going to take time, especially when we're when we're strategizing on how to leave that agency to someone in your family, and I want you to remember this doesn't have to just be kids. It could be your favorite nephew. It could be, a sister. It could be anybody in your family. This is a wide open topic of leaving your insurance agency to your family. It could be a spouse or a partner. When we think about this, that person is going to have to earn trust when they're coming in. And that takes time. And it does. And like Therese said, you've got people that have potentially been working for this agency principal for as long as they've owned the business a lot of times. And a lot of times they have a right hand. And it's going to take time to earn trust and build those leadership skills. We can't just say, okay, I'm ready for my blue chair and I'm going to go retire on the beach somewhere. Good luck. Is that really how you want to leave your legacy? So it's going to take some time to strategize around that. Make sure we prepare that next generation of leaders to come in and really make sure that they protect our agency's culture, that they share the vision, that they understand where we're going, and that they can make the right choices and have the team want to follow them. And I think that's where a lot of times we lose that ability, because now we need to make a decision quickly. We need to be working on agency valuations and succession planning well before you want to be on that blue chair on the beach.
Well, and you have to make sure that the person that's going to be receiving the agency is really into it, involved, and is really, that's what they want as well. You can't just assume that this is your child and they want to be in insurance and this is what they're going to do. I mean, I've actually seen in some cases that the children really aren't even into insurance. They think they are, but they try to pretend they are, but they're not. And that makes it even worse, because if they're forced into the insurance industry, they don't really want to be in it. It's not a good fit. And then they just inherit the agency. Where do you think that's going to go? So you have to make sure that the person that's receiving it has the same thought process and the values the agency just as much as the person who built it.
Absolutely, Therese. I mean, you couldn't have a greater point here. And I think this is, this has to happen early in the succession planning process. We have to make sure that as we're planning and we're identifying those candidates, that we're identifying their interest. Because if someone is too afraid to tell us that they don't truly have interest in our agency, they're not there for longevity, right? They are not there. They don't have a real vested interest in what we're doing. The issue is that sometimes it's hard for other people to tell us that they don't like our baby.
That your baby's ugly?
It's hard for them to tell us. Maybe their vision is different. Maybe what they envisioned for their life is not running the agency that I spent all my time and energy building.
Well, and so much has changed. So much has changed. Way back when, the way things were done was with paper, and now there's all this technology and there's all this movement and all these carrier changes, and the market is so crazy right now. It really, really is a hard market with all the natural disasters. Everything we have going on in our world right now. The agency that was built by the founder and what that founder dealt with and the hard work that they did and what they had to push through is so different from today's agent and what they're going to have to push through to keep an agency running. And I think sometimes that's why we do see the, private equity purchasing the agencies, because they realize that the market has changed so much. It's going to be really hard to do what the founder did and keep that agency growing and thriving the way it was. However, we do think that agencies still can grow and thrive in this market. You just have to have a strategic plan, just like you do your succession plan. You have to have a strategic plan. You can't just say, oh, let me give this share to this person and this share to this person and then hope that they can work together. It doesn't work that way. You have to really, really have a plan and sit down with people and discuss it and make sure that people who are receiving it really want to be in the agency and have the same goals and the same, 10-year plan or 20-year plan that you have for the agency.
Yeah. And in this blog, we talk all about the plan and the stages of creating that plan. And I think what's super important is open, honest communication. We have to remember, and we always have to keep on the top of our mind, how is this conversation serving my agency and serving my client? We can't allow personal feelings to get in the way of what we're trying to build and what we're trying to plan. And so we have to be open to receive feedback as much as we are to give feedback. And I think that's where, as a family unit, sometimes we can go a little crazy. Is it might get a little bit heated and somebody might get a little bit angry. And we can't let that part of business, we have to keep business separate from family.
And you have to keep it professional.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think when it all comes down to it, is we have to respect each other. We have to respect each other's time. And when we're talking about succession planning and when we're strategizing, where do we see our agency in the next 10, 15, 20 years? And if the current agency principal is not part of that plan, they have to step back and allow that newer generation the ability to spread their wings and make some decisions. Are they going to skin their knees sometimes? Absolutely. It's just like teaching your kids to ride a bike. We've got to let them go at some point, let them fail forward so that way they still have you there to help them pick up the pieces, because it's never going to go flawlessly. It's never going to be seamless. People are going to make mistakes because we're people, but we're going to learn from those mistakes. We're going to take those as real learning opportunities to be able to mold our new generation of leaders that are going to be coming up while you're still there.
Well, and sometimes you need coaching and financial people that are outside of the family to help, because when we say facts, not feelings, it's really hard with a family not to use feelings and bring those feelings up and cause issues because of those feelings and bring in the personal matters. And just like siblings fought as children, they're going to fight as adults, and you can't have those kind of happenings at an agency in a professional environment. You really need to think about bringing in outside people who can look at the business as in a logical picture of the business, of the people who will take it over, and how all of that structure is going to work financially, and the roles in the agency that everybody's going to take who is involved in the succession plan. We really do have to focus on outside help as well, because if you just look at it from everybody in the family, you got to take out the personal aspect of it. And when that personal aspect is still in there, it can cloud things. It can make things cloudy.
Yeah, I think everybody, especially when you feel like someone's not hearing you, right? Having that impartial third party who can really just give you an opinion and help you. This is exactly what we do in insurance. We help our customers make decisions on how to buy and build their insurance portfolio. There's no difference when we're thinking about succession planning for your insurance agency. You're going to need an outside third person, especially when we're keeping things in the family, which, keeping things in the family is a great opportunity to have people that have the same vision. They value what you've built because they've seen you work hard for these things. They've probably supported you in a lot of ways. They helped you move their agency from one location to another location. You probably write their insurance policies for them. You might have given some of them their first job ever working in your mailroom. Your family values what you have built. And, it's going to be important to guard those relationships, those family relationships, while also engaging in honesty and transparency about where we're expecting the agency to go. And that may mean that we're going to disagree at times. And so to have somebody like an agency performance partners who can come in and really help you and guide you through that process. We deal with this on a regular basis. We've seen thousands of agencies and helped them through this process. And I think in addition to that, you've got to have good legal advice. You need somebody who's going to be able to do an agency valuation for you. There's actually a link in this blog to a blog with Carrie Wallace and talking about the importance of agency valuations. So, I'd suggest that you run over there and check that one out. It's really great. If you don't have an agency evaluation, you need to get one immediately, whether you're planning on selling or not right now. You need to know where to start. We equate it to getting on the scale after Christmas. We need to know where we're at so we can plan for where we're going. So having that outside team of people on your side, being an agency principal can be a very lonely job. Can be a really lonely job, and you might not get all the credit that you might deserve. And so you need a friend too. You need someone besides those people in your agency to help you, to help guide you through these processes. You're not expected to know everything, but you have a lot of resources out there. So understanding when to tap those resources is going to be really important in having a really great, successful succession plan.
I think being realistic too, if the kids who are inheriting the agency have never worked outside of the agency, they have a different outlook on what professionalism is and working with coworkers. So we do have to remind them as well that some of the things when we use feelings and not facts, some of those things would not ever be acceptable in a professional environment elsewhere. Mm-hmm. So we just need to have really good guidelines, really good plans, really good job descriptions for everybody. And just a good strategic plan is really what makes it all worthwhile, and including people outside of the organization to help you with that as well.
Yeah. And the ultimate goal is really to ensure the continuity and the growth of the agency. Agencies where the agency principal is not required, their presence is not required, get a better return when they do sell their business because the agency is not relying upon them. If that's something that you're considering, know that's going to be important. So whether you're trying to build a succession plan that includes leaving that business to family or not, whether you're trying to plan to sell, whatever that looks like, getting the agency principal out of the day-to-day operation and making sure that business just runs like a well-oiled machine with or without you is how you're going to get the most return on your investment. And so what we need to make sure that we're doing is that we are ensuring that operations are continuing seamlessly through this transition and that we remain hyper-focused on the growth of the agency. And that means training those new incoming leaders, introducing them to your clients, making sure your clients feel comfortable with the new management before you step away so that way we can get in front of any potential issues that might happen or go on with that book of business. We want to really, really make it a comfortable transition for everybody during that process. And it helps because you're still there. Right? You're still there.
The agency principals have built such relationships and they've built such great rapport with their customers. It's just like if your doctor retires, what do you do? Yeah. So you need to make sure that you make those customers feel good about the changes that you've made and who that they're going to be passed on to.
Yeah. This was a great chat, Therese. I think we talked about a lot of wonderful tips and tricks for agency owners to really think about with succession planning. You can go and book a meeting with one of our consultants if you need some assistance in even how to start building a plan. We mentioned the tip on going and watching the blog with Carrie Wallace about getting an agency evaluation. We also have a super great sheet in this course on a family, what do we call that? It's the family contract. How to work with your family during this time period and creating a family contract so that you guys know you're setting the tone and everybody knows what's expected. And so go ahead and download that premium content. But we look forward to seeing you in our next blog banter. And it was great to talk to everybody today. And succession planning is the key to success and continuing your legacy. And we are here to help you, support you through that process. So reach out to us.
Thanks.
Have a great day, everybody.